What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of The David Lopez Show, presented by Passion Park ENT. I am glad to be back on mic talking and going through some things. You know, I actually got some sports stuff to talk about and obviously some real world, real life stuff to talk about and to get into as we are in the midst of a wild and conversation provoking time. And you know, everybody's just trying to figure things out and go through it. And yeah, so I'm here to continue with those talks. Last week's episode was dedicated to talking about the race issues that we are as a country dealing with, and I'd say as a society in general. And that was, so I think that was last Thursday, I want to say, that I recorded. And today is a week later. It is Thursday again, and yesterday we got news that the officers were arrested, all four of them, for the murder of George Floyd. So I think voices needed to be heard, and things happened over a week. So there's something to be said there. So we're gonna continue. I'm gonna talk a little bit about that, dabble into that, and then we actually do have some sports stuff to talk about today, which is fun, and I'm excited to do that, to get into that. I'm missing sports, as I'm sure all of us are. So we'll get into it. But first, like I always do, if you want to check out, it feels kind of weird promoting your own stuff, but well, that's what Tuesday was dedicated to. Blackout Tuesday was not promoting your stuff and just focusing on the issues. And I'm going to actually talk a little bit about that too. So before I do that, I will say, if you go to www.thedavidlopez.com, you'll find all my music and podcast stuff. Specifically on my website, if you go to the music tab, you can see all of my albums are broken down just to the specific album. And so if you go to thedavidlopez.com/ whatever the album name is, you should be able to find it. So for now, my brand new album, Chapters, is out. And it's available on my website, thedavidlopez.com/chapters, for as low as $1. You can make your own price, really. So whatever you decide to do, it means the world. It's very accepted. But the point is, I wanted to make it available for as cheap as I could on there. So it's available for $1 if you want to download it on there. And it's obviously available on all streaming services. So go check that out if you could. I appreciate everybody who has, and the kind words that I've received so far from the project. So I'm going to keep pushing some of that stuff. Got some more things to release related to it. I put off some things. I think I might have mentioned that I was going to do a live stream show for the album, and that is still the plan. I felt the need to, push that and focus on other things with everything going on. And with that being said, what I did instead of that was it wasn't a live set, but it was a live performance in my basement of my song "All I Know," which I wrote years ago after I believe it was Laquan McDonald, but there's so many of these that I can't guarantee that it was after that. But long story short, I performed that song, and I also just talk about some ways that you can help. I donated some money last week to a couple foundations, a bunch of different ones that we highlighted on there. And if you go to passionparkent.com, that video is actually right there on the homepage. So you can watch that. That's also where you can find all our film projects, podcast, music. I mean, pretty much everything's also on that website, but that's just the more general. Passion Park ENT is my production company. And so that's just more general, all that stuff, whereas the davidlopez.com is specifically dedicated to my music and this podcast. So yeah, that's all that stuff. And let's get into the show.
David Lopez is the name. It's my show. Welcome to it.
Yeah. So as I was mentioning, I did I was trying to, so instead of doing that Chapters live show, which like I said I'm going to do, I wanted to, we're all trying to find different ways to get in the mix and to help and to do things. And I wanted to encourage people to do that. And so on Monday before Blackout Tuesday, I made a little short performance, and I also talked about the money that I had donated. And that was really just to highlight the many different ways that people can help out. I know that we're all seeing this on social media from different people, but I feel a responsibility to do that myself. For anybody who watches this podcast every week, or for anybody who listens to my music, I want you to know that I always feel a responsibility to speak up when it matters, and that will always be the case. As long as you're a fan of me, that will always be the case. The interesting thing about this situation is it should not have been controversial at all. I mean, saying Black Lives Matter should not be controversial. Like, it's not even a controversial statement, but it has become so much so. It's been really, really it's highlighted something. I posted on my Instagram yesterday that was like, and I mean, I don't give a shit. That's also what I posted. But like, I have lost some followers over the past, week or so on Instagram. Not a crazy amount. I mean, I don't have a crazy amount of followers in general, but I would say, I don't know, like 20 to 30 or something like that over the past week or so. I've just seen it gradually falling kind of. And nobody's like reached out to me. I mean, actually, I have had a couple conversations with people regarding exactly, the things that I'm saying, but nothing crazy. Like nothing, I haven't had like bad arguments with anybody. So I can't guarantee that those followers dropping is related to that. But I mean, a lot of people have said like their followers are dropping and they're like, who cares? Like Seth Rogen was hilarious. He posted Black Lives Matter and all these people, I mean, he got a lot of hate, or I don't know, hate, whatever. He got a lot of people talking shit. And to every single person, he goes, fuck off, don't come back, don't watch my movies. My movies aren't made for you. Like it's great. I love that. Because like I said, it should not be a controversial statement. It doesn't make any fucking sense. People are ridiculous. But I had somebody reach out to me, a friend of mine from back in the day. Shout out to you. You know who you are. He was just like, don't let this make you bitter, towards, because I'm it's funny to say that to me, to somebody who is not black. Because now imagine the plight of a black man when you're dealing with, or woman, when over time you just progressively realize, like I was saying to him, was like, I guess this is just surprising because I didn't realize that this many people felt a way about this shit. Like was this you the whole time? Were you always like this? Like it's surprising. But I mean, imagine if you are a black man or woman and you just know that, like, and so like how it's got to be hard to not be bitter. And people are like, why are you an angry? Why, like, what? Like, I'm just saying. I mean, I don't think I'm gonna have that issue. I have a natural disposition for being optimistic and pretty positive, I think. But I understood those. I tried to understand those words that he was saying to me, like, just don't let this make you bitter. Because, like, to me, that I don't know, it just highlighted a lot. It's like that's like wisdom from somebody who's been dealing with this their whole life. He's like, remember, there's still, you know what I mean? Like, it's just something to think about. The shit that you have to deal with, that everybody has to deal with every day. And then now just multiply that when you are African American. Like, it's just shit, man. It's just wild. And I had beautiful experiences being out on the streets. The one person who commented back to me is somebody that I respect, and I made a tweet that was about I said it's easy to say, or I said it's easy to say, to tell somebody how to protest when you aren't the one being oppressed, or something of that along those words. It was basically, honestly, it was kind of a shot to all the people that I had seen that were upset about the protests and riots and saying that shit, but they didn't say shit about the murder. They didn't say shit about Black Lives Matter. They didn't say shit about that. But then they start getting upset when the riots and protests come out. I was like, come on, man. One doesn't come without the other. Like, you mad at property being destroyed? We're mad at a life being lost. Like, and not just one life. I mean, one life in this instance, because we saw it. It was basically like public torture. Like, we saw that shit. And you're more upset about property. I'm not saying that it's right. I'm just saying you're more like, and plus, like, it's not. My whole point was it's not our right to even say that shit. Like, how could you, going back to the don't be bitter, that's years, that's built up shit. Like, you can't just say that. So anyways, that was the conversation I had, but we had a great conversation. And I was like, thank you for reaching out. Like, we could talk about the shit. We could talk. I'm just giving you my perspective. And I feel like I have to speak, whether or not I have a big platform, I have a platform. So I have to speak. And that's what I want to continue saying, that like, if anybody wants to have a conversation with me, like, let's do it. I have a feeling that, most of the people who intake my work, whether it be the podcast or music, probably feel similar to me in a lot of regards, because my music is very, and my art is very representative of me and of what I believe in and of how I am. So I have to believe that with that, most of the people who listen to my shit and intake my shit probably feel similarly about a lot of these issues. Like I said, this shouldn't even be a controversial issue. So I don't even, like, yeah, exactly. Like, it shouldn't be. It's not like, this isn't a very, I mean, there's nuance to everything, but this is just like, come on, like, are you serious? Come on. So yeah. But I'm sure there's a lot more I could talk about, but I want to say like some of the things that we did, my wife and I, over the past week or so. Not just like, I'm not trying to like, believe me, it's hard. I said this last week. I think it's hard not to be cynical when everybody's trying to be inspirational, right? So I do understand the people that are on Twitter and like that are like, man, fuck all these people posting the black picture and shit. Like y'all don't really care. Y'all are just doing this for clout. Y'all are doing this for your fans. Y'all are doing blah, blah, blah. And I get that. And I think probably there is probably a lot of that. But at the same time, it's better than nothing. Like, because right now it's just like, we need to just be outspoken about this. And so like, so whether or not you want to be cynical, something is better than nothing. You know, it just is. The shit. I mean, like donating money, like donate $5, donate whatever you can, or if that's the way you want to take it, or however. The funny thing is, in the hip hop community or in the fashion community, if people know that dude Virgil, who's like balling, and he only donated $50 to Black Lives Matter, and he like bragged about it. So that's crazy. But I donated $100 to to a bunch of different places, but like, and I'm going to donate more because this one foundation that I just saw today that I just pulled up literally before I started recording was donating towards rebuilding the black-owned businesses in the south side of Chicago that were, torn down or things were affected during these protests. So I definitely want to continue to do that. Like, the work doesn't stop, and that's the point of Blackout Tuesday. But the point of Blackout Tuesday was specifically what I saw originally was music industry Blackout Tuesday, and then it turned into just Blackout Tuesday in general. It doesn't matter. But the whole point was, don't promote your own shit. Let's focus on finding different ways to help out and keep the issues at hand in the priority, right? And it got all washed. It was very interesting because, people were upset because if you use the hashtag for Black Lives Matter, then your black picture would go on the Black Lives Matter feed, and then the whole feed would just be these black pictures, and it really made it hard for people who were at the protest to see shit. And that's frustrating, and I understood it. But that made a lot of people think that that idea, the Blackout Tuesday picture idea, was a trick. And so everybody was like on Twitter, Instagram, everybody's like, yo, they got us with this shit. They got us. They tricked us. I'm not saying that's not possible, because there's obviously some conspiratorial weird shit. There's provocateurs. There's all this shit. And I've been seeing other shit on Facebook that is about like these movements that I could almost guarantee a white dude wrote and like try to put it out there and scare people. So I'm sure, and I'm not saying it's not, but I don't personally think, if I had to guess, I don't think the initial thought of Blackout Tuesday had that much. I don't think it had enough thought that was like going to be like, we're going to trick these people and fuck up their whole shit. I mean, that is possible. I'm not saying it's not. I personally think the point was, for people to reassess and just focus on different ways to help out. And especially in the music, I actually think it really mattered in the music industry, because people needed to, you have to step back. Let's just use myself. I didn't even really open my laptop on that day. We went and, the day before, what I was going to say for other people, if you're looking for ways to help out, I don't live in Chicago anymore. My wife and I moved. We bought a home in Milwaukee. So this is the first, I've said it before on the show, but I'm close to Chicago. Chicago's my home. I go there regularly. And I felt a certain way because I couldn't be there when the riots and protests were going crazy to help out and to clean up. And I couldn't be there to protest in my city. So I felt a certain way, but I tried to do what I could up here because this is the city that I live in now. And also I want to say, because I know a lot of people are feeling, I know a lot of people probably feel like, damn, I didn't do enough. I didn't go to get to protests and stuff. We are still in the midst of a global pandemic. And my wife is a healthcare professional. So I think she has a certain level of responsibility, and I do too, as her husband, and trying to, be helpful to not put her patients at a great risk for for contracting COVID and stuff. So we dealt with how we're going to help out. So we went into the city and cleaned up, tried to stay separated from people. There was no big clumps. You wear your mask the whole time. You do those things. The protest came very near our house. So we went out, but we stood on the side and we're trying to stay separated from people. And then when it went past us, we followed behind a little bit as much as we could. And it was beautiful. I want to say, like, the peaceful protests have been beautiful. And people making their voice heard, and seeing some young people, a lot of young people from all different backgrounds, making their voice heard. There's a lot of, there can be, there can be optimism for the future. I don't know. It's hard to say, but I'll say that my parents and other generations that I've heard speak have said that they feel that this younger generation is different, and that there could be a cause for a little optimism going forward. So that's let's hope. Let's hope. We need real change. We need every individual to be the change themselves. And if you aren't yet, and if you don't know things, you need to be willing to learn. You know, I saw a tweet today that was it said, I'm trying to remember exactly what it said. I could pull it up, but it said, it wasn't we as a country. It was people need to acknowledge the willingness to change their opinion more, because we're so stuck in opinions. And that's a simple statement, but it's just, I just read it and I remember it was something like that. And I remember being like, yeah, exactly. People need to be willing to change their minds. There's all these people that haven't had the conversations. I was just listening to Joe Rogan and Reggie Watts talk. And Reggie Watts is he's a comedian, musician. He's an awesome dude. He has some really deep sense. I mean, honestly, this tattoo I have on my wrist says "zoom out." It's actually from him, because the full quote was "when in doubt, zoom out." And I heard him say today, or it was a couple of days ago, but I heard it today. He said, "Love is efficient." I thought that was, and he just broke it down. He's like, this has kind of been my saying lately, is love is efficient. And what he meant was, you can have this conversation with somebody you believe that you guys are pretty much opposite, but there's love there, whether or not it be like, your family, you just naturally love this person or whatever. There's love there. So it breaks down all these other walls almost without even knowing it. Like, you just like, you're having the conversations or whatever it is, because you already love that person, and you guys might be believing different stuff. But even though you believe different stuff, there's already love. And that means that let's just put it in this way, because we're talking, that means that white person who had strong, I don't want to say racist beliefs, but whatever, anything. Let's just do it like that. A white person with strong racist beliefs, and then the love that they have for this black person that they now know, or whatever it may be, can cut through that. Maybe it's the first friend they've had of that, or whatever. It cuts through those things. It's like when you do the asking people against gay marriage, do they have any friends that are gay? Most of them don't. Most of them have never even known somebody who's gay. So like, the love is efficient thing. I just thought of that, and I thought that was a beautiful way to be put. And then there was a guy who was on Joe Rogan. He talks about that in this episode. This gentleman, I can't remember his name. I want to say Daryl Davis. I'm not sure if that's accurate. Black jazz player who converted over 200 KKK members to get them to get out of the KKK just by having one-on-one conversations with them. What does that say? What does that say? If you're racist and hate black people, do you have one black friend? Like the fucked up thing is some of them do, and then they're like, well, he's all right. But then I can't even. The sweeping generalizations are just mind blowing. Whatever. Like my friend who is a black man and was able to say to me, "Don't let it get you bitter." We have to be optimistic moving forward. We don't have to be, but I'm trying to be actually optimistic moving forward that real change can happen. And like I said at the top of the show, man, it took a full week, actually a little bit over a full week of protesting and protesting in. Look, the peaceful protests were great. There was obviously provocateurs out there who were not there for the right reason. But you know what? Like I said before, you cannot tell people how to be upset after being just not fairly treated and being murdered and all these things over years and years. You cannot tell people how to react. Yeah. It's just hard. And it's just hard to see people have thoughts that are so unpolished and uneducated. And I'm not saying I'm the most educated on these matters. And if I've said anything where I slipped up during these 20 minutes where I've been spitballing and talking, and if I've said anything during these 85 episodes of the podcast where I've been spitballing and talking and said wrong shit, I would hope that some people maybe can call me out and we can have the conversations, or I can explain maybe I said something the wrong way or whatever. I can explain my real beliefs. Like, I want to be able to have those conversations, and I want people to be able to have those conversations with each other. I think that's very important. I've had some great conversations with friends and family members over this whole time. Just saying all this shit. and some of the pictures, that's what one of the conversations I had. Some of the pictures from all this shit, like, are amazing. They're going to be lasting images forever. And like especially in the Chicago, I just saw some pictures that were like this, like fires burning, and then you see the city in the background, you see all the protesters. And I was just trying to say, like, images have an effect. It can have a long lasting effect. And now the thing about now social media and everybody having a camera is a lot of these images can be manufactured, and they're not real moments. They're put together for this. But I think they'll matter. They'll be in textbooks or whatever, if textbooks are even still a thing. All right. So we're gonna transition. Still sticking with some of these real things that we need to talk about. We're gonna transition into sports in a certain regard. Everybody has been making comments, obviously, as we need people with a platform to speak out. Drew Brees has been in hot water, and he did apologize today, as you would have expected an apology to come. But he finally made a statement on the whole matter, and his statement was so tone deaf. I mean, so tone deaf. I wish I could. I don't have the question that he was asked, but the point is, he said that he would never be okay with disrespecting the flag. What was his exact quotes? I'm trying to find the exact quote. He said he would never be okay with disrespecting the flag, and the military or whatever. It was just like, it was so tone deaf. Because I mean, I think it was all in reference to, would you be okay with your teammates kneeling in the Kaepernick situation? The amazing thing to me is, I mean, first off, you gotta understand, he's trying to save his ass here. And that's what his teammate Malcolm Jenkins said that he felt that his response was extremely self-centered, because it does seem like he was just trying to save his ass and cover he's the face of an NFL franchise, and so he's like, I can't stand for that. But the fact that he, after all of these protests, after having all of these teammates, black teammates for his whole career, but specifically now as the kneeling began a couple of years ago with Colin Kaepernick, and then you have it's spreading across the league in a certain regard, to not educate himself over that time on why they were making a stand, why Colin Kaepernick decided to do that, and why other players followed suit, and the fact that it was not supposed to be disrespectful to the flag or the military. Never. And military people and people that have fought for this country have said those things, said, no, we did what we did so that you could do that. You could kneel and say this police brutality has got to stop. And the fact that he could be let's just put it, you're supposed to be the leader of the team when you're a quarterback, specifically him. He's been the MVP of the league, I believe, or maybe I'm just wrong there, but whatever. The leader of a team filled with black men, and you wouldn't take the time to educate yourself on what is going on and why people are doing this, and why the whole league blackballed the quarterback that should have still been in the league. It is disheartening. And I mean, LeBron commented, like, everybody commented back, like, yo, what the fuck, dude? People were also just in general, like, the lack of quarterbacks saying anything, that or like the NFL is just whatever. He did come out today and apologize, said he was misguided. He feels remorse for the amount of pain that he may have caused and whatnot. And just like the initial comment, where he was saving his ass for the NFL and for his owners, this one is him saving his ass against his teammates. So I don't want to be cynical. He said he wants to listen. And let me just say this. You better listen, because now you got to listen, bud. You got to learn. You got to figure this out. And I do want to say, though, that he's got to learn, and we got to be open to, I don't mean we, but I mean people, to letting him learn. Because there's going to be a lot of people like him that need to learn. And there's probably a lot of people who were afraid to speak because they didn't know what to say, and they didn't know how to say it, and they didn't know. And I'm not saying that's okay. Silence, the big thing that's going around is silence is violence, and it can be. You need to stand up. This should not be controversial. Black Lives Matter, and police brutality is not right. Now that, yeah, it's pretty simple. Like, it's, at least in my mind, it is. So that was Yeah, that was I think that was the whole thing. But now you got other people saying for him to admit he was wrong. I think that's leadership. Yeah, I mean, maybe we can learn from this, and this can be a good learning experience, and that's the hope there. That is obviously the hope. But I had to address that because that was just like I just couldn't believe how. I mean, I could believe it. That's other people. A lot of people were like, the fact that you say you can't believe it is surprising because you got to believe it. These white quarterbacks are just trying to stand up for the NFL owners who are like just on their high horse about making every last dollar. It's all about the bottom line. It's all about the bottom line. It's all about the bottom line. Anyways, well, the NFL seems to still be on track to come back in September or I guess August for training camp, end of July. Yeah, I don't know. All right, well, let's move on to some real stuff. Real sports stuff. I'm sorry. Pardon that. Real sports stuff. That was the real stuff up front. That was the real news stuff. The real issues that are going on. Now I want to switch over a little bit and get into some sports stuff, lighten it up a little bit here because it seems like we might have some sports coming back. I am very excited. I would love to be able to watch a good NBA game or something. That would be cool. That'd be cool. I'm all for it. So the NBA looks like it's coming back. It looks like it's coming back after all these talks we've had for however much time. It looks like it's finally gonna come back in a new format. My brother and I were talking about this. We're not going to have a random Bulls versus Hawks game at 2 p.m. like I was hoping for because the Bulls aren't going to make it, and neither are the Hawks. 22 teams is the proposed plan that I believe will be approved today. The NBA Board of Governors intends to approve a league proposal for a 22-team format to restart the season in Orlando, Florida. So at Disney Wide World of Sports, like we were talking about. All right, so the interesting thing is they're switching it up. So you are going to still have your normal 8-team playoff on each side, but there's going to be 13 Western Conference teams and 9 Eastern Conference teams that make it. This is based on fighting for those last playoff spots, specifically for the West, because you have the 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 seed team that are all they're all pretty close. So they're currently within 6 games of the 8th place in the 8th seed in the Western Conference, excuse me. So New Orleans, Portland, San Antonio, Sacramento, Phoenix, they are all within 6 games of the 8th seed on the Western Conference side. And Washington, the Wizards, are the 9th team for the East. I didn't even know Washington was even that. I mean, the East blows at the end of it. But I didn't know Washington was going to make it. So the West is interesting because they really are going to have what they're going to do is there's going to be a play-in tournament for that last spot. The play-in tournament will include the number 8th and number 9th team. If the 9th seed finishes the regular season within 4 games of the 8th seed. That seems well. Okay. The number 8 seed, in that case, the number 8 seed enters a double elimination tournament and the number 9 seed a single elimination tournament, sources said. Oh, this is kind of interesting. I mean, it'd be cool. It'd be a switch up. But I mean, it'd be a switch up for the 8th seed. But I mean, the Lakers or whoever's the number 1 seed is still going to whoop up on that 8th seed. But it'll be interesting. You got to remember, this is all about the bottom line as well. Like, why even include those other teams? Is literally all financial. It's all financial. Let's get some TV revenue for these other teams and just the NBA in general. But yeah. So going back to me making those playoff predictions a while ago, I kind of still, just because I made those playoff predictions, I kind of still want the seeding to fall how it fell. But there's a chance that things switch up, a likely chance things switch up because they'll be playing. How many regular season games will they be playing before the playoffs begin? The plan includes, I thought it was 9 games. I had seen that. But let me see. So they'll begin training in July. Full training camps at the end of July. Okay. Regional fall leagues for the teams that don't get in. Like, so those 8 teams who aren't going to make it to this, they're talking about doing other sorts of leagues and training camps, so they could make a little money. They need some of that. And then players and coaches will be allowed to golf or eat at outdoor restaurants. They will also need to maintain social distancing. They're planning to have uniform daily testing, and If a player tests positive for the virus, the league's intent would be to remove that player from the team, to quarantine and treat it individually, and continue to test other members as they play on. And the employees there will have to do something. Will have to do something similar. No staff will be allowed into players' rooms, and hallways will be carefully managed to avoid crowding. This is going to be a interesting scenario. But yeah. 8 regular season games, not 9. That's the number I was looking for. So they're gonna play 8 regular season games. So that's enough games where you could have some switch up in the seeding for sure. Even if you keep the 1 through 8 seeds how they are, if you just had those teams play 8 regular season games, there could be some shuffling right there. So who knows? We'll see once we get to that if my playoffs predictions stay where they were at. There's a lot to talk about with this. So next week we'll, once we have a little more grip on whether or not this is official and all that stuff, we can probably get into it. I want to know if Kevin Durant will be playing. I want to know if Klay Thompson will be playing. I want to know if Steph Curry will be playing. Oh, no. The Warriors, I'm sorry, they're not even in this, so that doesn't matter. But the Nets, so KD and Kyrie, will they be playing? That changes some things out east for sure. It changes some things. The Bucks, I think, should still be the favorite, but man, these teams have been off for so long, we really don't know. It'd be cool. I was talking with my friend the other day, and we were talking about it'd be cool if they did like a March Madness tournament. We just had like a random winner, like somebody you would never expect. The Wizards come up and win it all. Bradley Beal averages 55. Like something like that would be cool to have some shit like that. But now they're still going to play the playoffs in a regular format because LeBron wouldn't be having, like I said before, LeBron wouldn't be having some bullshit. He knows what he wants. So I'm excited. So like I said, next week, hopefully we have a little more information. We could really get into it, break it down a little bit. And then we're about a month away then from training camp to start. Now this is barring any changes. Who knows? With everything that's happened over the past couple of weeks, I would not be surprised if coronavirus really pop back up and with a second wave here, but at the same time, I do not see us falling back into the same precautions that we've been under the past couple months. I just cannot see it happening that way. But who the fuck knows? 2020 has been an insane year, and we are not even halfway through it, guys. What is going on? And then finally, with sports trying to come back, the MLB not coming back, not yet. They just denied the league's another proposal. Originally, the league proposed 82 games, and then the players came back and tried to propose 114 games, and they denied that. So they were hoping for opening day to be June 30th, but and the season ending October 31st on Halloween. That doesn't seem realistic right now, but we will see if that's possible. There's a lot of things going on. I think the most interesting thing for me to have learned during this is that the owners, one of the owners said that they don't really take any revenue from the team. I think it might have been the Cubs owner. I don't know who said that. So it was Ricketts or somebody said that. And then also a lot of these franchises are saying, especially the bigger ones, the Yankees, the Cubs, the teams that draw really well, not the Miami Marlins. They don't give a fuck. That they will lose money if they have a season with no fans. They will lose money because of all the revenue lost and all the projected revenue that they had on the books, and then they have to pay the players, especially right now the players want to get full prorated salaries, and that was the big argument about all this because the owners are trying to say, yeah, but how can we prorate your salaries if we're not getting the same income that we're supposed to get from fans being there? So that's an interesting thing, and I think it's a real debate. I always try to side with the players because the owners, you have to think they got to have some money there, and they're going to earn it back. That's the thing that interests me too, is like, you will get a lot of this money back once shit goes back to normal and you get fans again. So it's like, stop being so nervous with all that shit. I don't know. And like I'm not so much with like there's a duty to the people because sports are a fabric of American society and we need to see it, especially while we're dealing with this pandemic. Yeah, I feel that way to a certain extent, but it's a game and we got to remember that. And these are still people. So, yeah, there's a lot of nuanced issues that go into this, but I think it would be great for Americans to be able to watch sports again, but I don't think I don't think that's the reason. Like, I don't think it should be like, but you guys have a duty to us. I don't know if I necessarily feel that way. Yeah, you get paid a lot of money, but it's a job that you get paid a lot of money because of the demand for it. There's they all go hand in hand. So I don't know. I don't know, but as a fan, I would love to watch sports again. I couldn't help but feeling over this the past Memorial Day weekend, and then like this past week has been really nice out. Like, it just makes sense to have like a Cubs game on, like, you know what I mean? So that's kind of where I was at. But yeah. So I know today was another more more serious one, I had to break down. I had to talk a little bit more just about what's going on, man. I can't avoid that stuff. And also, I want to say, thank you to everybody who's been supporting. If anybody feels like they don't feel like I don't know, like I said enough, or if they want to have conversations, please reach out. We can do that. I know that I need to, it's complicated because I have the Passion Park pages and my David Lopez pages, obviously. But the David Lopez on Instagram specifically, that page has a lot more of a reach. So I've been posting all the social stuff on that page, and the Passion Park page I just haven't really used over the past week. So I'm like, shit, I should have cross posted some of those things just because I want to make sure that if there's any people that just follow the Passion Park page and don't follow the David Lopez page, I want to make sure that they know how I feel too and how Passion Park as a company feels. So I'm gonna try to cross post some of those things and do some of those things. But yeah, I just want to say that. I want to say thank you for tuning into another episode of the David Lopez Show. Like I said, we'll be back soon with some more, maybe a clip of the week, some funny stuff. I think I'm probably gonna record another episode pretty soon here and try to get some of that out. But I'm not gonna avoid the topics that need to be talked about, as I've said. And I want you guys to know who you're a fan of and who you're listening to and what I believe in and whatnot. And with that being said, I will say stay tuned to thedavidlopez.com and passionparkent.com for any more information. I'm working on putting on some new merch that where all the proceeds will go directly to some charities and foundations that I wanna donate to. So I'm trying to get those things all set up and all geared up, and I want to help how I can. If anybody has any advice, let me know. If anybody just wants to talk, hit me up. But anyways, I want to say one love, guys, and I'll be back soon.